Obviously a little different with finals going on. Just I guess first just kind of talk about having an entire week, to kind of work, and do some of those things. How important is that for your team?
Yeah, well, finals is number one. These guys finishing strong in the classroom. They're student athletes, and it's a definite part of the equation. You get caught in playing the season, but we've given them time to finish up their exams and a chance to finish strong. We didn't have a midweek game because of finals, so we had some of our pitchers throw to hitters because you don't like going a whole week without at bats. So that was part of the Tuesday practice. Had a normal good practice. Wednesday practice is usually more hardy practice as you head into a weekend. And then we'll come out tonight basically at 7 p.m., the same game time that we'll start Game 1 series in Tuscaloosa tomorrow night. And this will be our lighter practice, our brush up. And actually different because we still have some exams going on today. We'll actually travel game day. So we won't leave till in the morning with all the exams behind us, and we'll drive over, get in a hotel, have a pregame meal, and get right back on schedule heading into tomorrow night's first game.
Which has become a weekly question, but is Josh Palacios any closer to being available this week and could see action?
Yeah, it's doubtful. It could be defensively more so than it could be swinging the bat. We have swung the bat this week, so that's a little bit more than what we've been doing. But we're edging into a month of not having played in a ball game, the timing and everything. Another thing that plays into that is Jackson Berggreen's playing really good baseball. Somebody that's in the timing every day. He hit a tying 2-run home run in the Saturday game, and probably the last 2 weeks the defensive plays he's made has been special. Does Josh Palacios add something, make our team better? There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, this has become one of those wrist injuries where that's very important to swinging a bat, and we feel like he can do everything else. We're sprinting him. We're working harder with him than the players that are actually maintaining, that are playing. But until he's 100% and looks us in the eye and says he's ready to play, we'll hold off, and we'd like for him to get some live at bats before we actually just start him in an SEC game. So I would still call him doubtful heading into this weekend.
Would you foresee a scenario where he could be back by the end of the year? Or
yeah, I would hope so. I kept thinking a couple of weeks ago we're going to get him back, and then just as the soreness after swinging the bat 10 times and impacting the baseball. We go through a progression of tee work to short toss with a coach throwing, to getting batting practice, to having a simulated with the pitcher throwing, and every time we start ramping up, we just get to a stopping point. And until we can get through every one of those hurdles, and until he says I can really go full speed, we're just looking out for the best interests of a player. And we want him back. He wants to be back. He's one of our most competitive young men and has been. Still leading us in hitting, I know, and put up some good numbers as I was looking. He still has really good numbers, not to have played for a period of time. But our guys know next man up and continue on. They're rooting for him. He's one of the best guys in the dugout for us, and we'd love to have him back. But we'll know when he's ready, and hopefully one of our midweek games he can get in. I think this is going to be quick when it happens, and we keep reevaluating. We got great medical staff. They've stayed close to the situation. They've continued to try to tell him they think he's structurally sound, and hopefully one of these days we'll get past some of this soreness and get back out there.
Is Daniel Roberts still a couple weeks away from being in the batter's box again?
I think so. We haven't swung at all with him. We're still bracing when we play. Even the 2 appearances he's had pitching, he's got a brace on his left hand. We're sliding a glove over it. So his has still been like the immediate prognosis of that distance.
You've been part of this before with Alabama. How big is this weekend for you?
Yeah, I think it's big for both clubs. I think both clubs have a ton to play for. The last bracket I got from the SEC office was really neat, where it had it really clarified it for me, seeing it in the rankings. You got 10 through 13. You got 4 teams in each slot, as far as the rankings. So we have so much to play for, to keep trying to grow and get better. We're in a mix with a lot of teams that's fighting for the tournament. We finished with 3 great opponents. Alabama starting pitching's tremendous. Mississippi State here at home, and then you go on the road to Vanderbilt. I like the way we're playing and competing, and we want to continue that and finish strong. I think I mentioned last week, or whenever I get a chance, I made a statement before we got going that I thought our team would grow as much as any team in our league. I'd like for that statement to wind up being true. And currently we're competing good. We won 2 of our last 3 series. We want to win 3 of our next 4 series, and we just want to keep trying to find something to build on, because you can't get anything back or go back any. We're just in the present moment and keep pushing forward and try not to give any days away, and just hopefully we keep playing good competitive baseball.
Pitching the same.
Pitching's exactly the same. A reminder to everybody out of respect that the Sunday's a TBA, and it just depends on how we feel like we got a chance to win a ball game, how we use Casey Mize. And so that's the same as last week, and for the last 2 weekends we've been the same, and wound up saving Casey for a Sunday start at Ole Miss, and we wound up using him in game 2 to get a victory or win the series against Kentucky. So it'll be Lipscomb camp and still that TBA, and we'll figure out how we get Casey Mize involved in the series.
On Josh, how has he just been handling the injury? Obviously, his first year here, comes in, has a lot of success right away, and that kind of has that taken away.
I think it's hard on him. I think it's hard on us because we want to see him play. I think it's hard on him because he sees his teammates out there competing and battling. That's why I mentioned what he's doing in the dugout. He's a voice. He's an encourager. But I think it's hard on him. I think when he looks and says, "I just can't swing it," I think it hurts for him to communicate that to people that care about him and people that he don't want to let down. So I think this is a really tough thing to go through, and anybody's had a hand injury in baseball, especially a batter, I think it's hard. I think he's doing the best he can with it, and we keep trying to support him and all of that. But I think it's been harder on him than it's been on anybody else.
What's the bounce back for Casey's arm that you've seen? Could you use him in a Friday situation and maybe turn around and use him on a Sunday? Is that possible?
I think so. If it looks like we have a chance on Friday, I definitely think so. I think it's a good point because that's just one of the scenarios that hadn't come up yet, especially last week when Cole went the distance. But yeah, you give somebody 24 hours rest, and I think Casey, to manage him properly, and because he hadn't done a lot of the scenario that you suggest, I think anything that's under that 30-35 pitches really allows us to do that. I think if we get above a pitch count there, then I think it would require more than 1 day off.
That's good.
Yep.
You got it.